Hello, so some of you may have seen my status on Facebook and Twitter saying that I plan to put my name forward as a Plaid Cymru nomination to chair the newly established Media, Heritage and Welsh Language Committee in the National Assembly for Wales. The system's changing this time around where people can put their names forward. They need one other party nomination unless they're a big group of 20, and they need 2 nominations to then take that nomination forward, and I think there'll be a vote next week in the Assembly. I've been an Assembly member since 2007, and I saw this as a perfect opportunity to take on a new challenge, if I'm perfectly honest. I have been active in all of the fields that are included within this new committee. For example, on broadcasting, a few years ago I instigated the media inquiry into the future outlook of the media in Wales. It was chaired by Ken Skates at the time, but pushed forward for that committee to actually take place and to scrutinise people like the editor of the Western Mail on job cuts, to Media Wales operations here in Wales, to looking at hyper-local news provision such as the Port Talbot Magnet. So that was one thing that I did. Also recently called for the committee investigation into the BBC Charter renewal process, which happened in the last Assembly, and I was on that committee, and we came back with hard-hitting recommendations which now the new Government Minister Alan Davies is taking on board, such as the creation of a new independent media forum, and such as making sure that we have a strong voice in relation to BBC Wales and the production that is carried out here in Wales. And as regards to other areas of the committee, obviously with heritage, I've done quite a lot of work on heritage issues, working with trade unions in the sector with regards to various pay disputes, for one thing, attending meetings like What's Next in Cardiff in relation to the future of the culture industry here in Wales, campaigning for higher level apprenticeships across the Heritage Board, because we do know that where people are leaving certain professions such as the National Library, the National Museum, that those talents cannot be left forever, and that they need to be nurtured and new people need to come through the sector. Also put amendments through to the Historical Environment Bill, so I've done quite a lot of work in that area. And then on the Welsh language, obviously people will know from being a member of Cymdeithas yr Iaith Gymraeg, the Welsh Language Society, I've always put Welsh language campaigning at the heart of what I do in the Assembly. I was on the committee that was scrutinising the First Minister on the Welsh language in the last Assembly, held him to account for the cuts to the Welsh Language Commissioner and also to Mentra Iaith here in Wales. I also, at the time when the Welsh language measure was being put through by the previous, the One Wales government, led by I made amendments to that to try and enhance and develop what was being done there, and also in terms of standards for the Welsh language to try and make sure that they are adhered to and developed in the future as well. So I think that I've got a strong to become the chair of that committee. If there is somebody against me within Plaid Cymru, within this Assembly group, it will go to a private ballot in the Assembly, and that's why it's important that I talk to all Assembly members. I think the chair has to know the brief, and I think for Plaid Cymru, as far as I can understand, for the other committees that we may be chairing, there hasn't been an interest from a woman, and I think we're a relatively small group, and I think it's important to have gender balance in these types of roles. And I think I've shown from my financial education bill that I'm able to work with other parties, and I'm able to see the benefit in many of the ways and operations of this National Assembly, and I'd like to be able to take that further. So that's my pitch, and I hope that I'm successful.